This is a typical way that gang stalkers attempt to initiate sympathizers, recruits, or passive supporter, at any stage, meaning that you are aware of the phenomena. You know what's occurring, but may be clueless of the actual details, yet say nothing for a variety of reasons. This entire phenomena is all about fear. This is a highly orchestrated psychological dance designed to instill fear in the minds of both parties. For the target, it's about creating fear of what's to come in order to create paranoia and instability. For the recruit/invitees, it's about fearing what can happen to you if you refuse to cooperate with their agenda. Although, fear can be real. In this instance, fear is an acronym for false evidence appearing real. There is no real threat of immediate danger. Typically, the process in earnest begins when someone sends or shows you a picture of a local targeted person in or about your vicinity. In the beginning, these pictures may show up as anonymous feeds on your phone that you will initially dismiss. We say in earnest because in many instances gang stalking operatives have been monitoring or keeping their eyes on many recruits for some time before contact is initiated. Strange, but true. You will then be advised, basically lied to, that this person has either done something inappropriate, is of low moral character, is doing something mean, threatening, or is just a bad person, or some other negative connotation is associated with the person. This is designed to make sure that you do not communicate with the person at all. This narrative is presented to either trigger the invitee's emotions, generate a response, and/or create some sort of action to or about the target from the person receiving the message. An example could be as follows. In a social setting, someone who recognizes the target will either take a picture of them or locate a picture from their cell phone with a message of no contact. That message is typically sent to a central source, similar to a phone messaging tree, regarding the targeted person. At that point, the message is then delivered to any number of cell phones via text message. Again, the requested actions could range from something as simple as ignoring the targeted person, creating isolation, refusing to assist them, creating a hostile environment. In some, if not many instances, physical attack is encouraged. Another example could be as follows. Let's say a judge in a courtroom notices the target from a prior exposure. Again, this is usually a picture on their phone. She, the judge, then leaves the bench and then proceeds back into her chambers. In the process, she checks her phone for verification, then proceeds to deliver the message, isolate, no contact, hostile, via the link out to others within her vicinity. This is just an example. The degree to which any of these individuals will participate depends on their level of involvement, new contact, passive, recruit, operative, etc. Again, strange, but true. About 99.9% of the time, that text message they send or the conversation being had with another is mostly information that is passed down from one person to another without any validation whatsoever. The purpose? To malign or disgrace the character of the target or portray them as some sort of enemy that should not be trusted and avoided altogether. As mentioned earlier, it just really depends on the individual delivering the message. Again, strange, but true, as most any targeted individual will attest to. These gang stalking goons have no shame. The sad part about this is that most of the time, these conversations, the actions, the narrative is being initiated by a single or sometimes a group of individuals whose emotional well-being is most definitely in need of repair, to say the least. Actually, that type of gang stalking behavior is consistent with someone in need of a sincere stint in a level 10 mental health institution 100 times more so than those who are currently in one themselves. This is a case of severe narcissistic behavior well hidden. The targeting process can begin with a seemingly harmless, even casual encounter with person exhibiting low levels of narcissistic type behavior. These secret gang stalking enthusiasts feel offended or slighted somehow. They may embrace jealous or insecure tendencies for some reason, or maybe they believe you did or do something better than they do, or maybe you didn't give in to a request, demand, etc. Their reasons why are varied and ultimately buried in their own minds. On the latter end, maybe they're just being compensated or blackmailed with threat of exposure to do so. This list goes on because the reasoning for their involvement is mostly in their own mind and exists nowhere else. These thoughts encourage low-level emotions and other delusional scenarios they have concocted in their minds. The next thing you know, the person is being targeted, unleashing a tidal wave of emotional instability in the targeted person's world. Gang stalking at its best is a vicious form of street justice available mainly to those who are missing more than a few knives in the drawer, emotional instability, but hide it well. Please be advised we are no way making fun or light of those who are in need of sincere mental health assistance, because we can all use some form of that from time to time and there is absolutely no shame whatsoever in seeking help. That's normal. That's life. The folks we are speaking of are willfully misrepresenting or ignoring their need for mental health help, and are instead purposefully choosing to act out their self-induced frustrations and perverted social fantasies onto others by participating in this torturous social experiment referred to as gangstalking. Unleashing their instability like a dam about to overflow onto innocent people who in no way deserve the onslaught of trauma and grief. This is especially so, in that many, if not all of the individuals they will ask you as an invitee to target, you will have had zero prior interactions with them. Most, if not all of the individuals they ask you to target, you won't even know. In the case of a gang stalkers, we are referring to the morally bankrupt individual who seems powerless, but for the emotional high they get from causing harm and pain on another in silence. This is similar to those nicely dressed members that have gained your trust and you now feel comfortable sharing your personal experiences with, but who then proceed to make it their personal mission to betray you to everyone in that congregation by making them aware of the intimate details and sacred information you shared with them, on purpose in order to humiliate you. We say this to point out the stark differences between the two personalities types noted above. One is a mostly stable individual needing a bit of mental health assistance to navigate the troubled oceans of life, versus a tried and true narcissist whose only pleasure in this world is disturbing the lives of others. That latter being of gang stalking lineage. There is a distinct difference between these two entities who may be in need mental health assistance. So back to our story. By you, the invitee, providing them, the entity that sent you that link, with a picture of the targeted person with your phone number attached, you have now participated in a preliminary initiation and show of support. These gang stalking operatives will now have permanent access to your phone and everything associated with it, covertly. Meanwhile, you are making the assumption that doing so will save you and your family from being gang stalked as well. That's your first sucker bet gone wrong. In reality, here's what's really happening. You will have no idea that now you are being monitored as well. They can and will listen in on your phone calls, to anyone, and literally turn on the phone at will. After all, they must have some way of monitoring your loyalty to their cause. Whatever the circumstances, be assured that you as an invitee are not being afforded the rights of immunity against being targeted without some kind of sacrifice. At that point, they will then be able to listen in on any conversation you have with anyone within 25 feet of your phone, and oftentimes this will happen even when the phone is turned off. iPhone or Android withstanding. This may or may not occur as often as it does with those who are targeted for malicious prosecution, but be assured it does happen. They will know where you go, who you talk to, and they will probably be listening in at night as you and your partner are sharing intimate moments as well. There's nothing like having your gang stalking brothers and sisters partake in the ecstasy of the two of you getting it on. What a small price to pay for the unsubstantiated belief that you will now have immunity from the social firestorm referred to as gang stalking. They will be listening to see if you are doing anything crooked, underhanded or illegal, strange or kinky, so they can now use that information as leverage to keep you doing what they tell you to do. Because if you don't, not only will you now possibly be subject to the gang stalking, they can and will do much worse than that. By participating in this decrepit form of social engineering, they are making you believe that you are protected, but in reality your participation now leaves you open, vulnerable and available for them to control and manipulate you basically any way they want. Ultimately, they will now know more about you than even those they will require you to target. Gang stalking is an insidious double-edged sword, and the only ones who are immune are those who choose not to willfully participate in it. It's a mean, tortuous circle and a deadly self-fulfilling prophecy, and you are or will be doing it blindly and willingly, thinking that you are protecting yourself. The only problem is that you're not. It's just a way to gain leverage over you so they can ultimately dominate, and convert you to the status of a muse. Trust the truth. Stand against gang stalking and targeting of individuals. The world you save may be your own. Please, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. God bless.